Hi, I'm Ethan. I love muzzleloading, and this is the 25th annual Contemporary Long Rifle Association show. Before we go any further, I just want to say, while I want this to be an overview as much as I can of the CLA show, especially for folks who couldn't make it, I'm not going to be able to mention or name everybody that I met and talked with at the show. I picked up a ton of business cards. I have a stack almost an inch thick. I'm going to have an entire list of every business card that I picked up at the show at ilovemuzzleloading.com. I'll have a link in the description, so if you like what you're seeing here and you want to check it out, you want to follow these artists, I really want you to follow these people. We'll have all the links and everything on how to get in touch with them, and more links to their work, ilovemuzzleloading.com. Link in the description. If you're unfamiliar with the Contemporary Long Rifle Association, or the CLA, it is an organization, a nationwide organization set up to honor and carry on the traditions of contemporary long rifle culture. And each year, thousands of Contemporary Long Rifle Association members convene onto one location for a 2-day show that encompasses really the best, I think, in America, the best artisans and craftspeople of long rifle culture. At the show, you'll see everything from original muzzleloaders and original pieces, kind of accoutrements, bags, horns, and things, all the way up to, kind of the namesake being the contemporary made long rifles and their accoutrements. The show hall is filled with artisans and craftspeople and historians. It's really kind of a one-stop shop for anything that you love about muzzleloading culture. If you're wanting to learn about muzzleloader building, learn about bag making, leather working, knife making, tomahawk making, talk to the authors of books that have done firsthand research on all this stuff. It really has everything, and it's the kind of event that you don't see everywhere. It's a really special event. This is my first time back in a few years now, especially with last year being canceled, and I'm really happy to come to you today and report that from what I've heard from everybody that I talked to there, the show went really well, and they're really excited for next year's event. A little insight into the show here. It's housed in the Rupp Arena, really at the center of Lexington, Kentucky. It's attached to a very nice hotel that you can stay at, or there's a ton of hotels in a 10-minute drive around the hotel center. There was free parking this year, which was great. We're right by the Rupp Arena. So really, once you got into the center of Lexington, all you had to do was park and walk into the show. Your car was no more than 5 minutes away from you at any one time. So if you're needing to go stash some goodies after some shopping in your car, it's really easy to do so. This was the first year that we were in a grand ballroom here for the show. Last year, the hotel was going under some extreme renovations, and they're still ongoing as of the 2021 show this year. So we were in a different location than you'll see some of the photos and videos from past shows kind of inside the hotel itself. So the show this year was housed in more of an expo hall, which went back and, depending on who I was talking to, went back and forth on if people liked it or not. To me personally, the show was great. There's a lot more space, a lot more room to walk around. And for my eyes personally, there was great lighting. Some fresh white LED bulbs really made it easy to see all of the craftsmanship that went into each and every piece on the tables at this show. To get into the show, you do have to be a CLA member. It's a $20 for 1 year fee. And for me coming in, I just renewed right at the door, and that got my wife and I into the show for the weekend. So split across the two of us, $10 for the whole weekend. Really not a bad deal. And it goes to a good cause to the CLA so they can plan and prepare for next year's show. Once you pay your entry fee, you get a nice little name badge, and you're ready to go into the show and spend all weekend kind of oohing and eyeing at everything that's there. I've been to a lot of muzzleloading and living history events over the past few years, and I gotta say, the folks here at the CLA show, I think were some of the nicest I've ever seen. Not that everybody else isn't nice, but when I got there about 10 a.m. on Friday, and by the time I took a break for lunch to meet up with some friends, I hadn't even seen a quarter of the show, just stopping and talking with people, and that was kind of the theme for the entire weekend for me here at I Love Muzzleloading. And I'd just like to extend a thank you, kind of a blanket statement here, to everybody that stopped and talked to me about muzzleloading and living history and I Love Muzzleloading. It was really a great time to chat with you. This was really the first event that we were able to get out and talk with people in person, and the reception was just really overwhelmingly positive. So I can't thank all of you enough who stopped to talk with me and my wife about all of this. It's been a really exciting time, and despite being tired on the drive home, it was a really great experience, and I couldn't stop talking about how much fun that my wife and I had at the show, and I've been kind of spreading that across to everybody I've talked to that's asked about the show and how it went. So I'd just like to thank everybody for the positive reception reception and really the great weekend at the show. Looking at the show as we came in and walked around over the weekend, the attendance was really great. I think some folks online saw individual tables at kind of the warm-up time as people were loading and unloading, and were kind of concerned about the attendance to the show. But really, even though the hall was larger and there was a lot more room, there were still times during the peak hours of the show that it was hard. You were kind of bumping into people as you went from table to table. So I think this year's show went really well for both the people demonstrating and having their wares on their tables and the CLA itself. There haven't been any official numbers or anything released in that regard. This is really just my commentary based on talking to folks through the weekend, really up until the end of the day Saturday, on what they saw and how sales went, really. I mean, for a lot of these people, this is either a full-time or a part-time gig that they use to supplement their normal income on things, and they really depend on the shows like the CLA show with foot traffic and things for these sales to keep going. I mean, it's expensive to come out to a show and make all the stuff for it. So I really trust that artist feedback when it comes to how the show went. Walking around the CLA show, it is really like you are a kid in a candy store if you like muzzle loading and the accompanying history and accoutrements here. What I like about the CLA show is they spread everything out, so you're not, one section isn't just for muzzleloader builders or bag makers or tool makers or anything. Everything is really spread out so that you may have a couple muzzleloader builders in the same vicinity, but tables really alternate, so you're not looking at the same thing all the time. So when you walk down the 20 or so aisles looking for things, you have to kind of make a mental note of the things that you like and want to come back for and maybe purchase later. I really think that it's, unless you know what you're going in for, you know where the artist that you're looking for is at, it really behooves you to go and walk through the show one or 1.5 times if you're not worried about the item that you like disappearing in your walkthrough. But just to see the entire show, I spent most of Friday walking around and chatting with people before I even got my wallet out because there was so much to see. And even by the end of the day on Friday, I don't think I saw most of it. So on Saturday, I came in a little earlier. The doors opened at 8. I got there about 9 and really booked it through the show, kind of waiting to talk to people until it was close to my time to leave, just so I was sure I could see the entire show. One of the things that really grabbed my eye as I was walking around the entire show was this cute little 12-inch barreled German flintlock rifle. According to the owner, this German hunting rifle was used by hunters who employed dogs to run the game while they followed on horseback. The hunting dogs would wear out the game, and the hunters could ride up and finish the work with this short-barreled flintlock. Theoretically, the hunter didn't need a long barrel or a long sight picture because the dogs were well trained, meaning this delightful little muzzleloader could be born. It's important to note the large lock, the set trigger design, and the trigger guard design when trying to date this muzzleloader. Each of these reference points direct us to an early 1700s or even a little bit earlier than the 1700s. If you've seen my video from the Rock Island Auction Company, you'll see some similarities between the trigger guard on the massive German wheel lock and the lock design between this German hunting rifle and the King William III era flintlock musket. I wanted to say in this video that anybody out there looking to reproduce these, I've got some pictures on ilovemuzzleloading.com, and I've seen some other photos from different angles at the Contemporary Makers blog that I think you should really check out. And even since the show, I've seen a recreation of a rifle similar to this from Long Branch Long Rifles on Instagram. Be sure to check that out. It's a neat contemporary version, very similar to this original piece that we saw at the show. So I've talked a little bit about how this show is a great place to go and see the work and meet with some of the real contemporary masters of our time right now. But I think one of the things I really want to highlight here is the CLA New Artisans Table. This is a set of tables sponsored by CLA member Paul Fennewald, dedicated to showcasing and featuring new and upcoming artists in long rifle culture. New artists trying to make a name for themselves can feature their work on the table and be in attendance at the show at no extra cost. They all take turns watching the table, and it's just a great experience to go up and talk to some of these aspiring artists, because their work is really fantastic. And having a place really at the center of this show, in the center of this expo hall, where you have a ton of new artists showing their work, it's just great. I mean, I think a show like this can be really intimidating for a young or a new artist, and being able to be featured like this from Paul Fenewald is really great. So I'd just like to extend a thank you to Paul for featuring these artists and all the artists that we're able to meet and chat with at the table, for taking the plunge and showing up at the show. As much as this show is the best of long rifle culture, I don't want that to make you feel that you are priced out of everything here. There are certainly some very, very beautiful guns that cost more than my car, which is very understandable. But I want you to know that there are artists and craftspeople and items here of all levels. This isn't just, you need to come here with 10 grand to buy one really nice or two really nice bags or something like that. Everything about this show is affordable for every price range, and a lot of the items are really, really affordably priced if you go into it with the mindset of kind of planning and knowing what you're looking for before you go in. Real quick, I wanted to share a couple of things that I came home with and the artists behind them. It's really great to be able to go to a show like this and pick up something that you really like and talk to the person that made it, talk about the history of the piece if you haven't been following it online. Something really just catches your eye. It's just a great experience you can't really get buying online, which is another reason why I really like going to shows like this and picking up handmade, one-of-a-kind things. So the first thing I picked up was this Tim Crosby Southern Banded powder horn. It's got three nice bands here and a beautifully turned spout tip here. I've been kind of looking for a banded powder horn to go along with my Kibler Southern Mountain Rifle. I've been following Tim's work on the American Long Rifle forums. It seems like he almost posts daily with some new horns that he's coming up with, and when I heard he was going to be at the show, I was super excited to be able to pick up one of the horns that I had seen him posting about online. What I really like about this horn is it's a Southern banded horn, so it kind of fits in with my Kibler, but I love the milk painted finish on this. Tim had a lot of horns that were just kind of stained and dyed, but what really drew me to his horn, and this horn in particular, was the milk paint finish. So if you're unfamiliar with milk paint, it was the traditional paint of the colonial American era, and you'll see a lot of chairs and furniture, cabinets and things painted with milk paint. It's just kind of a nice matte, kind of subdued color. There's a variety of colors out there with it. That's something for another video maybe. But this horn was painted with milk paint and then covered with several coats of wax. So that was one of my main questions to Tim when looking at this horn. Like, I love the color. If I carry this through the woods, is it going to get scratched up and ruin the paint job? I don't want to ruin the artistry that went into this. And he said he's been doing this for years and he's never had any complaints. So I'm really excited to fill this horn with some powder and take it out to some muzzleloading matches. I'm a big fan of making my own accoutrements, but sometimes it's nice to get something that I really could never make anything this nice. It'd be years down the road, and be able to pick up and assemble something like this from a group of artists is it's a really nice feeling. And I'm really excited to see it finished up here this fall. Next thing I was able to pick up was this ball bag from Eric Ewing. I'm a big fan of Eric's work and his bags especially. I was able to grab one of his hunting bags for my Kibler kit, and I'm kind of building a little ensemble of Eric Ewing pieces. I really wanted to pick up this little ball bag. It was very affordable. It's got bark tan leather on it, a turned horn spout, and a turned plug as well. I think it's an oak plug. It's got a nice, neat grain structure that's kind of a contrast to the rest of the pouch. And kindly enough, Eric didn't want to take the time to empty out all the .395 round balls he had in it, so he sent me home with some free ammo to go with it. So I'm super excited. I've already put this in my bag that goes along with my hunting pouch for my Kibler, so I'm really excited to get this out this fall. And last but not least, I don't know that it's made necessarily by Jason. You can find these just about everywhere. But I picked up this iron powder measure from Jason Gatliff at Muzzleloader magazine. This is a neat little measure. It's very similar to a lot of the brass ones that you see, you really can get anywhere. Dixie Gun Works, Flintlocks LLC, muzzleloaders.com. But what I like about this one is it's iron, kind of goes with my iron mounted Southern flintlock, and it's a small caliber powder measure. So it only goes up to 60 grains. It's a small diameter that you can kind of see there, really lightweight to hang off of a bag strap, and it goes from 20 grains to 60 grains. So even if I'm loading down just a plinking load in my 40 caliber, I can load it down to like 20, 25, 30, and really save money on powder just for some plinking loads. Again, not really something I was going in, I had it on the back of my mind, kind of looking for a powder measure to add to my kit to attach to my bag, but it spoke to me, and that's the nice thing about going to one of these shows. You can shop online a ton and find anything that you want, but sometimes it takes going to these shows and to see everything to digest and think in your head about how this could fit into your gear or to your kit. And when you're shopping at an event like this, the money is going to a good cause, supporting a ton of artists and small businesses. I'm not saying to spend, don't take out a second mortgage on your house to go to the CLA show or anything, but it's really good to kind of cycle some money back into the community as much as you can and support these folks, because they are out here doing the research, really supporting this, and really educating a ton of people every day on what they're doing and how they're doing it. That's something that I really love about shows like this, and the CLA show especially. If you go up to a table and ask somebody about their work, 9.9 times out of 10, that person is going to walk you through the history, the references that they're using, and why they like doing it. And you're going to walk away with enough knowledge to go home and get the materials and tools that you need to set up and start doing this kind of stuff and continue preserving that history. So really, as much as we try to do here at I Love Muzzleloading to continue and spread the word about this, it's really up to these artists and these historians and these contemporary makers. They're really doing the brunt of the work here, preserving all of this and continuing it for the next generation. So I just can't thank you all enough for welcoming me to your tables at this show and sharing your knowledge with me. Along with some of the shopping that I did, my wife was able to pick up a fancy wallet from Jeff Luke. I just want to give a quick shout out to Jeff. Jeff's become a great friend here in the muzzleloading community, and I can't thank him enough for his generosity. My wife loves it, and it's replacing a really beat up old Pokemon wallet that she had from college. So it's a nice upgrade. Just like to say thank you, Jeff. And along with that, Jeff introduced me to a very young up and coming craftsman here. I think it's going to be making waves in, he's super young, so there's a ton of time here. And I think in 5-10 years, he's going to be a pretty big name here in the long rifle community. But that's Jonah Kane. Jonah Kane's a very fine young man working on making some very beautiful little knives and other accoutrements here. He has a great interest in continuing his work in the traditional craft community and looking over his pieces. He's doing a great job, especially for his young age. Just want to give a quick shout out to him. He's a member of a local shooting club here in Indiana and we're really kind of connected as we got talking. We're friends with all the same old timers, and it's really great to meet you, Jonah. And along with everybody else, we'll be having a little feature on Jonah's work. Just wanted to give a quick shout out. I think he was probably one of the youngest craftsmen there. We hear a lot about how young people are interested in what we're all doing here, but folks like Jonah taking the initiative here, and his supportive parents and family and friends, making sure that he has the supplies, the tools, and the knowledge that he needs to get started at such a young age is really encouraging. And I think we're going to see some great things out of Jonah in the next few years. I'd like to extend a big thank you to Jason Gatliff, Ian and Mary Ellen Pratt, Ken Gahagan, Eric Ewing, Matt Fenewald, Mitch Yates, Daniel Bowling, Tim Crosby, Jeff Luke, Jonah Kane, Robert Scrivener, Jim Kibler, and a ton of other exhibitors at the show for the warm welcome and the great conversation. We'll have links to all of their work at ilovemuzzleloading.com and the description down below. Really check out some of these craftspeople. They are very supportive of what we do here at I Love Muzzleloading, and just took me around and introduced me to a lot of people that I did not expect. And I just want to extend a thank you. You all have become really close friends here the last few years. And it was really great to see you again, kind of after a long, long winter here of not seeing anybody in person. In closing, I really can't say enough about how great the show was for me. It was a lot of fun. And I really almost wish that it was a 3 or 4 day long show. I feel like there's enough conversation to be had, enough learning to be done. Like Daniel Bowling, for example, went up to his table. Hadn't seen him really since the horn show in 2019, and we just kicked up conversation like we were old friends. And he started talking about the history of horn work and the uses of horn, really sharing a lot of things with my wife, and she was really fascinated, talking about that experience really the whole way home. And there were countless interactions and things like that where you go up to table, ask a couple questions on something, and you just launch into this half-hour really history lesson that you don't really get anywhere else. It's a really great show, and I really encourage anybody and everybody to try to make it out to this show at some point in your life. Even if you can't spend a ton of money to support the artists and the craftspeople, it's really worth it to spend the money on the hotel room and some food to go to the show and spend the weekend there. If you are planning a trip, check out the kind of CLA planning video that we're launching alongside this video. There's more than enough to see, and when you leave, you're still going to be looking back as you walk out saying, oh, I didn't get to stop at those couple of tables. I'm Ethan, I love muzzleloading. I hope you've enjoyed this video as a little insight into the 25th annual CLA show. Really encourage you to check out longrifle.com. That's the home of the CLA. They have a ton of great resources there, a ton of great information for you to check out and to learn more year-round, not just at their annual show here in Lexington. Like I said earlier, we'll have a bunch of contact information for the artisans and the craftspeople featured in this video in the description below and at ilovemuzzleloading.com. Please check it out. Please follow these artists through the year online, wherever they are promoting their work. It really helps them get out and get in front of more people and reach some more customers and some clientele that are looking for some fantastic handmade long rifles and accoutrements. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you next time.